always grateful, and I have to pinch myself for the love and the appreciation and the respect that we get from our.
Disney has been under fire for quite some time over this project, and the backlash seems to be gaining momentum with every new move they make. Gadot's displeasure only amplifies the scrutiny on a film that's already facing a barrage of criticism from all sides. It raises the question, what exactly has gone so wrong with this project that even the stars involved are openly expressing their frustration? When the trailer for the Snow White remake dropped, the reaction was far from what Disney had hoped for. Instead of generating excitement, it sparked a wave of negativity on social media, with critics and fans alike slamming almost every aspect of what they saw. Comments poured in, ripping apart the casting choices, the visual direction, and even the fundamental changes to the story. The backlash wasn't just a few disappointed voices, it was a full-blown outcry that saw the dislike count on platforms like YouTube surge dramatically. For many, it felt like this film was doomed before it even had a chance to prove itself. Gal Gadot's involvement in this remake was initially seen as a major win for Disney. Her casting as the evil queen brought star power to the project, and given her reputation as a beloved actress, many expected her to be a highlight of the film. Yet, even Gadot's presence hasn't shielded the production from the harsh criticism it's received. Some fans have even joked that Gadot and Zegler should have swapped roles, arguing that Gadot's elegance and charisma would have suited the role of Snow White far better, while Zegler's controversial public persona might be more fitting for the villainous queen. This sentiment has only deepened the divide between Disney and its audience, who feel increasingly disillusioned with the company's creative decisions. The controversy isn't just about the casting or the specific scenes shown in the trailer, it runs deeper into Disney's current creative direction. Many critics argue that under the leadership of Bob Iger, and previously Bob Chapek, Disney has lost its way, straying from the core values and magic that once defined its storytelling. The company, once synonymous with timeless tales that captured the hearts of all ages, now finds itself accused of pandering to a woke agenda that some believe has compromised the quality and essence of its films. This ideological shift has sparked debates among fans and industry insiders alike, who feel that Disney's attempt to modernize its narratives has diluted the impact of the stories they once cherished. Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, has also become a focal point for criticism. Her outspoken views on various social and political issues have not sat well with a segment of the audience, and her off-screen persona has fueled even more backlash against the film. Every time Zegler makes a statement, adding to the complications, the internet has not been kind to the trailer. Social media platforms have been inundated with criticism, memes, and comments that mock both the film's premise and its execution. Many longtime Disney fans are lamenting the loss of the studio's unique charm, arguing that the relentless push for live-action remakes lacks the originality and spirit that made Disney films special. It seems to stoke the fires of controversy further, making her a lightning rod for the dissatisfaction surrounding this project. Her perceived lack of respect for the original material and some dismissive comments about the classic film's themes have only served to alienate fans who already had reservations about this modern take on Snow White. Meanwhile, Gal Gadot, who initially seemed enthusiastic about her role as the evil queen, is reportedly frustrated with how things are unfolding. Sources close to the actress suggest that she is unhappy with Disney's handling of the film, particularly the way her co-stars' scenes have been managed in the trailer, which could potentially affect the audience's perception of the movie. For Gadot, this was supposed to be a role that allowed her to embrace a different kind of character, a chance to step into a villainous part that contrasted with her heroic turn as Wonder Woman. Instead, she finds herself embroiled in a controversy that's not of her making, and it's clear that she's not pleased with the direction things have taken. The D23 Expo, which was meant to be a celebration of Disney's upcoming projects, instead highlighted the challenges the company is currently facing. Attendees and fans noted that Disney's presentation lacked the spark and joy that once defined its events. Rather than instilling confidence in the audience, the expo seemed to underscore the struggles of a company grappling with its identity. Snow White was supposed to be one of the key highlights, yet it ended up as another point of contention, feeding into the narrative that Disney is stuck in a creative rut. They see these remakes not as homages to classic tales but as hollow attempts to cash in on nostalgia, devoid of the creativity and innovation that once made Disney a leader in family entertainment. The situation has gotten so dire that even Disney's other upcoming projects, like the Mufasa movie, a prequel to The Lion King, are being viewed more favorably simply because they aren't burdened by the same level of controversy. The fact that Mufasa, which has its own set of challenges, is considered a safer bet than Snow White speaks volumes about the state of Disney's current reputation and the uphill battle they face in restoring their brand's image. As the release date for Snow White approaches, it's clear that Disney has a monumental task ahead. They must not only address the mounting criticism but also find a way to win back the trust of an audience that feels increasingly alienated. Gal Gadot's frustration is just another symptom of a larger issue within the company, a sign that even its biggest stars are not immune to the dissatisfaction that fans are feeling. If Disney can't turn things around and recapture the magic that once defined its production, Snow White might well go down as one of its most significant failures, both creatively and commercially. In the end, the Snow White remake seems to be trapped in a perfect storm of bad decisions, public backlash, and internal dissatisfaction. Director Mark Webb attempted to smooth things over with Gadot and her team, but the damage was already done. Gadot felt deceived, particularly after discovering that the promises of creative control and influence over her character were being quietly rolled back. It's one thing for an actor to face constructive criticism, it's quite another when the studio that hired them starts backtracking on its commitments. What was once the promise of a modern twist on a beloved fairy tale has turned into a cautionary tale of how not to handle a classic. Disney's attempt to reframe Snow White for a contemporary audience has not only upset the traditionalists, but has also failed to resonate with those seeking something new and exciting. With every passing day, the mountain Disney must climb to salvage this project grows steeper, and the company's ability to deliver on its promises looks increasingly doubtful. The situation with Disney's live-action Snow White remake has reached a point where even a movie about a character who dies within the first 10 minutes of the original film seems to have more promise than one of Disney's most iconic princess stories. That stark reality paints a picture of how far Disney's reputation has fallen. With more details about the production emerging, it's becoming increasingly clear that Gal Gadot is deeply unhappy with how this project has unfolded, and what initially seemed like a dream role has quickly turned into a nightmare for her. Gal Gadot, known for her charisma and acting prowess, had high hopes for her role as the evil queen, but as the reality of Disney's behind-the-scenes disarray set in, those hopes began to crumble. By the time filming wrapped in 2022, it was evident that things were far from smooth on set, despite Disney's best efforts to maintain a positive front. The anticipation Gadot once felt had been steadily replaced by a sense of frustration as she realized that the promises Disney made were not as solid as they seemed. She had been assured a degree of creative control and input into how her character would be portrayed, a prospect that had excited her about joining this high-profile project. However, what she encountered was more akin to a classic Hollywood bait-and-switch where words of empowerment and influence turned out to be little more than empty promises. One of the main points of contention for Gadot was the musical aspect of the film. The Snow White remake, much like its animated predecessor, was intended to be a musical, a genre that brings its own set of challenges. While Gadot's acting credentials were never really in question, her singing ability was put under the microscope. Initial feedback from female screeners was particularly critical of her performance in the musical numbers. They felt that her singing lacked the necessary strength to carry those parts of the film, and they weren't shy about voicing their concerns. This criticism was a significant blow to Gadot, who had gone into the project expecting to shine in all aspects of her role. Imagine being Gal Gadot, a star who had just come off her role as Wonder Woman, a global icon of strength and charisma, only to be told that she didn't have what it took for the singing parts of her new role. The feedback hit her hard, and what was supposed to be a triumphant transition into a beloved Disney character turned into a scenario where her abilities were openly questioned. This backlash threw Disney into panic mode, with company executives scrambling to manage the growing discontent. Even Bob Iger, Disney's CEO, who was already overwhelmed with various other crises, found himself pulled into the chaos surrounding the Snow White production. Gadot found herself caught in a web of unfulfilled promises, with her initial enthusiasm for the project giving way to frustration and a sense of betrayal. To make matters worse, the studio's reaction was not to address the issues head-on but to pull back even further, seemingly retreating from the commitments they had initially made to Gadot. This approach only intensified her feelings of disillusionment. It became clear to her and her management team that Disney was not going to uphold their end of the bargain, leading Gadot to decide that it was time to stand up for herself. She wasn't about to let a powerhouse like Disney push her around, especially when she felt she had been misled from the start. However, the timing of this confrontation couldn't have been worse for Gadot. After the recent collapse of the Wonder Woman franchise, she was no longer riding the same wave of success that had once made her a household name. Her clash with Disney, a studio known for its massive influence in Hollywood, posed a significant risk to her career. Taking on Disney in the midst of such a transitional period in her professional life was no small feat, and it's clear that she is keenly aware of the stakes involved. The core of the problem isn't just the production itself, but also Disney's mishandling of its talent. The studio has developed a habit of making promises they can't keep, resulting in a pattern of alienating their biggest stars. For Gadot, what should have been a high-profile collaboration turned into a tangled mess of broken commitments and unmet expectations. Instead of trying to mend the rift with Gadot and make amends for their shortcomings, Disney's executives seemed content to let the situation spiral, further complicating an already strained relationship. This growing tension highlights a bigger issue within Disney's current strategy. A company once synonymous with magical storytelling and enchanting tales now appears to be losing its way, repeatedly fumbling its most significant projects. Gal Gadot's disappointment is just the latest in a series of publicized frustrations from actors who expected more from the entertainment giant. It's clear that the studio's struggles to manage its creative direction and keep its talent satisfied have reached a tipping point. Adding another layer of complexity to this unfolding drama is Gadot's strained relationship with her co-star, Rachel Zegler. Reports suggest that the two haven't exactly seen eye to eye, with their different approaches to the film contributing to the tension. To make matters worse, Disney's recent track record with live-action remakes has left many fans disappointed. They're questioning why Disney insists on reworking beloved classics like Snow White, when the originals were already so well loved. It seems like Disney is trying to fix something that wasn't broken in the first place. These new versions often miss the magic of the originals, altering the stories so drastically that they feel almost unrecognizable. Disney's attempt to update these timeless tales risks damaging the legacy that made them iconic. Instead of celebrating the originals, Disney's reimaginings come off as forced attempts to fit old stories into a modern mold, often missing the mark entirely. Even worse, Disney seems to be subtly suggesting that the animated classics we all grew up with were flawed, nudging audiences to see these new versions as the correct ones. For longtime fans, this approach is both confusing and disappointing, as they watch a company once known for its magical storytelling lose its touch. So what do you think? Is Gal Gadot justified in calling out Disney's missteps, or is she overreacting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're hungry for more shocking updates, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more to share. Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.